Our web exclusive, I'm Mike Montecalvo, along with Eyewitness News analyst Lieutenant General General Centracchio. General, we're going to talk about the unrest in Syria. This week, the G8 summit wrapped up, and we're hearing two words coming out of that meeting with world leaders, including the president: negotiated peace. What does that mean?
Well, it could mean anything, but in this particular case, the big stumbling block, as I see it, is whether Assad should stay or go. Negotiated peace, in my mind, would suggest that there's an agreement that you can come to a final conclusion. Unless that's resolved, there'll never be an ability to come to a negotiated peace.
Now, we've heard all along that President Obama has said he doesn't see how President Assad of Syria can last. There was no real agreement if they should kick him out or do something about it.
You're absolutely right, and therefore that is the problem. That is the stumbling block.
Is Russia the problem?
Russia is the problem, and Russia won't allow just to say, okay, Assad's got to go. Because Russia firmly believes that Assad and the Syrian government is the legitimate government and the opposing force are the rebels. We don't subscribe to that. We think that the rebels represent democracy. The problem is we're not exactly sure who the rebels are, as we've seen in Iraq. They could very well turn out to be radical Islamists.
Well, we've armed rebels before, and as you mentioned, something it could turn out against us. Why are we arming the rebels?
I think we're looking at it as a matter of professing democracy across the world. They represent at least an effort for democracy versus a dictatorship. So here again, we go back to Afghanistan. When Russia was in Afghanistan, we sided with the Northern Alliance, which is now the Taliban. We armed the Northern Alliance, and now we're fighting the Taliban with the weapons that we gave them back in the 60s and 70s and 80s.
All right, in a second we're going to talk about the Taliban. Let's talk about military support right now. If this negotiated peace does not work and Assad does not leave, what happens next?
You're going to find it extremely hard for us to justify giving any weapon systems to the opposition, meaning that we're reluctant to give any kind of weapon systems that would be able to take down our aircraft, certainly heavy artillery, and other sophisticated weapon systems that could in fact be turned against us, and that's our real concern.
All right, you mentioned the Taliban. They're opening up an office in Qatar. What types of talks are we talking about here? Because they all of a sudden now want to talk peace.
They do, and therein lies part of the problem. The Taliban now wants to talk peace with the United States, not with Afghanistan. In fact, Karzai has in fact written off any talks with the Taliban. So you have once again a dichotomy that can't seemingly be resolved until you come to the table and everybody has a standard, or at least they're focused on a negotiated peace.
But General, this seems to come out of left field. Why all of a sudden they want to negotiate with the United States?
You know, I'm not sure that came out of left field. There's been a lot of rumors about that over the last several months anyway, but I think this is the first time we're seeing a genuine effort for them to establish an office in Qatar, to be able to establish a particular one-on-one relationship with the United States, and not pay attention to what Karzai is saying. So therefore, it's just an evolving, revolving scenario where we're not sure where it's going to end up, but clearly we'll be out of the picture by the end of next year.
I was going to say, what's the timetable on that, really?
You know, no one knows. And still the answer has not been given by the 2014 timeframe. Or all our troops be out? I doubt that very much. As long as you have logistics and support troops, you need someone there to take care of them.
All right, and let's talk about the NSA programs and the phone and internet records that the government has been listening to. The president says it has saved lives. It stopped at least 50 threats, and a big one that they were talking about, General, was a possible threat on Wall Street. Your thoughts?
You know, I think if you look back at the World Trade Center, that was, in my mind, clearly an effort to do away with our financial wellness. Wall Street clearly would do the same thing. Certainly one life is one life too many, but if you put it into balance, I think you want to see an attack made, and a terrorist attack made on the United States that would affect not only people, but certainly our financial wellness.
All right, General Centracchio, as always, thank you for your thoughts,
Thank you.
And thanks for watching.